What's going on, everyone? Talon here, and welcome to another account progression video. Alright, so in this one we're going to be getting Beast to Tier 2, and I decided to get Beast to Tier 2 right now because I am maxed out on the Phoenix Feathers, so I figure why not get our last X-Men here to Tier 2, so then I can farm up some Phoenix Feathers again to max out for when the next wave of X-Men drop. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Beast here before we Tier 2 him. So we do have him at max skill cooldown. Besides that, we just have a tiny bit of ignore defense. We could use a little bit more there, and everything else is pretty much just average. So now let's go ahead. The gear, we do have ignore defense. The skills, the only one we have maxed out is the 5th skill, and that is to get all of the bonuses here. So we get 55% all attack, 70% defense, and 20% all speed. So definitely really strong numbers there, but it's of course not going to be lasting the whole time. It's 15 seconds, and you can do this every 20 seconds, so you have 5 seconds where this is not going to be active, but still, that is a majority of the fight, and also, of course, there is 30% ignore defense there as well, so technically that 17% that I have is actually 47%, but anyway, that's the only skill we have maxed out. Besides that, his other skills, there's nothing too special about them, except for the 4th skill here, which is a very nice iframe, or intermittent iframe, and it causes blind for 2 seconds, so that really helps at the start of the iframe, and it does pretty good damage. I really like the damage from the 4th skill, and you can also augment it, of course, because it is a lightning based skill, so you can put a lightning damage Obelisk on him and get a little extra out of the skill. So now let's look at his isolate set here. So I have Hawk's Eye, and that's probably why I do have max skill cooldown. I'm not sure how much I'm wasting because I didn't actually look at it in detail. But anyway, I do think an attack-based set is going to be good on Beast. Besides that, if you want to build him more towards PvP, then you probably go with like DDE or something like that, maybe Binary Power. A defensive set could be good on him. And then likewise for the Obelisk here, I have him built towards attack, so I do have lightning damage and a damage proc, and then immune to guard break, which I really like that on Beast actually, because he kind of has, besides his 4th skill, his other skills are pretty short animations, so if they get interrupted, you're going to be missing out on quite a bit of damage. So I do like having that immune to guard break for him. Also, it can help so you don't get interrupted during your 4th skill, unless, of course, you get stunned or something like that. But another option, of course, if you're going for PvP, is going to be an invincibility Obelisk here, and Beast can actually do pretty good in PvP, especially since he can also get that boost from his leadership, so he'll do some pretty nice damage for you. So what else do we want to look at here? So we looked at his skills, so now let's go ahead and take a look at his Tier 2 passive. So his Tier 2 is going to be apply to all allies, increased guaranteed crit rate. We have 10% recovery rate, and then we have decreased all damage received by 15%. So it's kind of a mixed bag there. It's kind of a mixture of a lot of other characters' Tier 2 passives that give you boosts, like Warwolves, Phil Coulson, well, not really Phil Coulson, well, yeah, Phil Coulson, because we have the decreased damage received there, and then the recovery rate from, like, Roots. So it's kind of a little bit of each. They're pretty small numbers, though. 8% for crit rates, not too high, but of course it'll help. And then 10% recovery, again, not too high, but it will be noticeable. Then 15% all damage received reduced is nice, actually. I do like that 15%. Of course, if it was a little higher, it'd be better, but 15% is still nice. Then also, something that you can note is if you see the character usage tips here, it says Stars and Girders is a skill that stuns enemies, which is kind of interesting because it doesn't actually say it on the skill itself. So it just says right here, of course, apply to self, and then it says all the bonuses that you get, and then physical attack and the additional physical attack, but it doesn't say anywhere on there that it stuns. So I went into the skill preview just to look at it, and it does have a 3-second stun on it when he does the roar to activate his 5th skill, so that will definitely come in handy in Shadowland, because instead of just being vulnerable while using this buff, he can't actually stun the enemies, and that goes for PvP as well if they can get stunned. For World Boss, of course, you're going to be pretty vulnerable because the World Bosses cannot get stunned. But anyway, it is something to take note of because it doesn't actually say it in the text on the skill. It just happens to tell you in that little usage tip there, which is kind of weird. But anyway, now that we've taken a look at him, let's get around to advancing him. Of course, we're going to do him naturally because I feel like using up the resources here. Like I said, I want to start getting more of the phoenix feathers because I've been maxed out on them now, and I don't want to keep selling them. We are just barely at enough Emcron crystals, so I would like to build them up again, but it takes quite a while. So let's just go ahead and get him advanced. There we go. Alright, so Beast is now at tier 2, so we have animal instincts. Very nice. So let's go ahead and share that. There we go. Alright, so now let's go over here. So we have Wild Genius. Okay, so now that Beast is tier 2, now we just want to try him out a little bit. So let's go ahead and test him out some and see how he does. Alright, so here we are at today's world boss. We're going to go ahead and use this team here. So we have Supergiant today, and we're going to use Beast Leadership, of course, for the 45% physical. Then we just have Giant Man and Cho there for team-up bonuses. I didn't really want to give any of the X-Men here for any team-up bonuses because I don't really want them to be striking for us. And of course, since we just tier 2'd Beast, we're not going to use any strikers here. So let's go ahead and see how Beast can do here against a Supergiant. Alright, so we'll go ahead and buff up here, then hop into our 4th skill. And as I've been noticing, it looks like the 4th skill isn't actually a iframe on like world bosses and stuff, because they seem to still attack through it. It's just when they're when the enemies is in that like radius right there with the lightning bubble. I think it causes like blinding or something like that. So that's why in Shadowland or against enemies that can be debuffed, it seems like an iframe, but it is not. Alright, so let's go ahead, see if we can take down this shield. Alright, very good. So Beast is able to take that down quite easily. But there is a lot of movement, so it's still a good skill to use against world bosses. And because it does a lot of damage. Oh, gonna get feared there. Taking a little bit of damage, so Beast definitely needs a little bit more protection. So probably would be better suited with a invincibility obelisk. Right now I just have a damage proc obelisk on him, which is nice for when I use him in Shadowlands, because at tier 1 he was able to clear even some of the more difficult stages of Shadowland for me. So there we go. He's still able to do it. He does have pretty nice damage, but survivability is a little lacking for enemies that can't be stunned, so mainly just world bosses. But he's probably going to be more used in Shadowland or PvP. So for PvP, I'd think probably an invincibility obelisk as well, just because you want him to survive as long as possible to try to get off that 4th skill. And then also to have him use that 5th skill to buff your whole team is very nice as well. Like I said, I just have him built towards DPS or damage right now because I like using him in Shadowland, and as of right now I'm not super competitive in like Alliance Conquest, so I kind of build my characters mainly with Shadowland or PvE content in mind. But of course Beast is going to be good as a PvP character as well, because he can do some pretty good burst damage with that 4th skill. It is a long animation, and also if you have immune to guard break, he won't get knocked out of it. But anyway, that was just a look at tier 2 Beast right here, so I hope you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.